There are so many things that I didn't do then that I'm discovering. So 20s, I would say, just go all out and discover yourself, experiment with life.
And where would you put financial independence in all of this?
So these women, I asked them, क्या फर्क आया आपकी लाइफ में? You've been working with us for 2 years now. They said, भावनाओं में फर्क आ गया, madam.
What do you see yourself doing maybe 5 years or 10 years from now?
Of course, Kadam Haat has to become a global brand. That's the aspiration that I have for the brand.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
If I had a magic wand, I would bring heaven on earth.
Oh, okay. Hi, Payal, and welcome to the About Her show, a show that celebrates trailblazing women. And when I look at you and your accomplishments, of course, you fall into this category very well. I mean, the kind of work that you're doing in the space of social impact, it's really commendable. Your brand, Kadam Haat, all about connecting back with nature, giving equal opportunity to all. Then, of course, using locally available materials to replace plastic, enabling local artisans to, show their skill set, and then coming out with a product which is so beautiful. I have to admit, I'm the proud owner of a number of these bags, and my family cannot understand why do I need the same kinds in different, sizes, but they're so beautiful. I just love the colors. There is no way. Every time I see a new one, I mean, I am really tempted to buy one. That, of course. So a very, very warm welcome to you on the show.
Thank you very much. And it's very heartwarming to hear and talk to a Kadam Haat owner as well of a product. You're as much an owner and a consumer is as important and very important, in fact, in this whole pillar of things that we do, as much as the artisans, as much as the nature. Excited to be talking to you.
Thank you. So then just let's dive in, and just like an icebreaker, if you could tell us a little bit about your early life, your journey, and if you think that any of your experiences from those days are the reason why you're doing what you're doing today.
I think it's always our journey is mostly a result of our experiences. So yes, I'm an army officer's daughter who was traveling across the country wherever my dad was posted, and my mom, being a professional, had given up her career, and wherever he was posted, and we were three of us, she would just dive into all kinds of social work activities that existed there without thinking ever, sense of ownership to anything that she did. In 3 years, again, she would move on to another area. And my father, we grew up, being like a true patriot. Do not be a national waste was the agenda. Every dinner that we used to talk about, and we used to ask him, what should we do when we grow up in career? And he said, just don't be a national waste. Being a good mom is also a treasure to the country. And so be useful to yourself, to your society, to your, as much as you can, to the planet, to your nation, howsoever much you can expand yourself. So I guess, these sort of learnings, when you live in, you breathe in all of this day in, day out, it does have an impact.
Yeah.
Irrespective of the school that you study in. But the real education, I think, was all this, where we were surrounded by all this sort of knowledge, wisdom on how to live life. And of course, that is as far as the early stage of life is concerned, right? Before a career or anything of that was laid. But yes, when I grew up, I became I studied physics. And with, and then after that, I did a shoe design course. And then, yes, the very varied things. It's I'm not sure whether I thought about what I wanted to do. It's just, how life took on. Okay, physics is good. We've got good marks in school. So maybe if it's physics admission you've got, so let's study in Delhi University. I did that. And then I shoe design because it intrigued me. And in early 1990s, late 1980s, it was coming up in India, and something required technical skills and creative skills. And I was creative. I used to do a lot of embroidery and painting and all of that in the house earlier as a child. So I think shoe design we started, and I realized that there is so much in design that and science and art and science really meet in a perfect product. And so that it intrigued me and it excited me. Of course, getting married to Rajesh, my husband, and then moving to Calcutta, also did not offer me an opportunity to pursue my career in the shoe design space. There
Oh,
were no jobs over there. It did not offer. But then, I think all of that learning to be able to do the best where you are, what you are. And I said, I'm qualified. I worked with my boss in shoe design was an Italian, and I was the only Indian designer in the entire team of designers. So there was a lot of learning in terms of product design.
mm,
So to how to be able to use that, even if there's no job, I'm sure I'll be useful somewhere. Somewhere I fitted in. So
mm,
that's how I did a little, sort of say, an exhibition, with whatever materials were available, bamboo, iron, glass, or whatever was I could find in Calcutta with a friend, and we did a show. And
okay.
before I knew it was all in the paper, the designer from Delhi has shifted to Calcutta. And before I knew, the Export Promotion Council, Handicrafts, that time chairperson, he saw that article. He wrote to me, "Why don't you design for the craft sector?" And that's how the entry into crafts happened as a consultant.
Mm-hmm.
Working as a consultant, I realized that I was earning so much
Mm-hmm.
compared to the community where I would send and the project, whatever I was told to do as a consultant.
Yeah.
It sort of it hurt me, because yeah, okay, I have education and I have the ability and I have all of that, but why such large disparity, And then I would tell the government that maybe it's not just EPCH. EPCH gave me a break for sure, but with the Ministry of Textiles, that time I also got a chance to design some products and design processes in the government that time in the crafts sector. And I
Okay.
realized that, I was earning and I had to follow certain systems, but it didn't, the project got over and the community engagement got over, and that's it. So I
Hmm.
wanted to do something more meaningful. And
Yeah.
that's how Kadam was born.
Okay. All right. So actually, how beautifully you've put it, and I mean, you can see that different kinds of experiences, different kinds of exposures that you had over, your lifetime, they all have come together now into this. Yes, your
Very
desire to
true.
be, like socially be there for people and your ability to design, it's all come out. And of course, you're creating a product which the consumers love. So it's like the culmination of everything, right? Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
While, of course, any journey, that we undertake is fraught with challenges, and I'm sure even yours must have been. But, were these gender related or were these like challenges that anyone else would have also faced?
I would say both. Of course, anyone faces all kinds of challenges, irrespective of gender. Also, there are different kind of challenges. But being the gender that you are, and especially when you work with rural India,
Hmm.
wherein the gender biases are much stronger, and a woman is trying to go and work with other women,
Hmm.
um, there are difficulties. There's acceptance is not that high of the power that exists in the rural areas, or it was so many years ago when I started it. It was not easy, but I think when it's not easy and the
Yeah.
4G inside you rises and you say no, then you take it up as a challenge and bring it on. Now we're going to make it work. We will. And then there are so many people in the communities who believe in you and they look up to you. So then you sort of, push yourself to come up to that level and come out of all those challenges and come out a winner. So I guess yes, these challenges, like everyone, it's normal. I think men also have lots of challenges in their life which they may
Yeah.
not speak about, but they
Yes.
do, and so do women. Different kinds of challenges. But it's just, I guess, the sometimes challenges break you, but sometimes challenges make you.
Yes, yes, yes. And I,
Um,
I guess if you look at them in a positive way and, don't let
yeah.
them, kind of get the better of you, then I'm sure. So, could you elaborate on some of these? I mean, anything that, comes to your mind?
Working with communities in the village and sitting under the trees, the men would come, the husbands, they would say, "Tum aao ghar wapas aao, ladies ko ki tumhara gosht bana ke khayenge." So it wasn't very, like, why are you taking away the time? And then once it was literally the local administration, the politician, he reached up to where I was staying and he says, "आप वापस चले जाइए जहाँ से आई हैं, otherwise आपका लाश भी नहीं मिलेगी."
Oh my
So, but
God.
then, and then it's sometimes threatening also, quite extreme also. But then, once something like this happened, and when I told the lady that I was going back, that I'm going to come back again, and
Mm,
100% don't worry, we'll all come back and we'll all work together
mm,
without harming. They have to understand that we're not harming them. We are working with the men. We're just trying to build a community wherein you can be useful to the family as much as the men are, in terms of finances as well. You
yeah.
can contribute to your family, then we'd come around, don't worry. I told them, and they said, no, no, Didi, you can't go. And
Mm,
before I knew, it's 20, 24 women that used to work with under a tree, and they had gathered more than 400 women and get out this. So the strength that they showcased, sometimes it's an inherent strength that everybody has, and everybody's pushed to the corner. You sort
yeah.
of come back with a big force.
Yeah.
You rebound. That's the law of nature, right? You
Correct.
throw something with a force, it rebounds. So I guess, yeah, so such kind of many incidents that happen in the rural belts.
Mm-hmm.
And in cities, if you ask me, as a gender
Yeah.
issues, I guess, it's not that the men force it on us because we're all educated, but it's just that we brought up probably, or we just, the society sort of expects you that
Yeah.
you are a lady of the house. And if between you and your husband, if somebody has to travel, cancel because of the child, it has to be the lady.
Yeah.
So those sort of things also are very normal, very, and it's not. And I know if I had ever told my husband, no, I need to go and I have to go, I don't think he would have ever said, why.
Yeah.
He would
Yeah.
have said, fair enough. But we as women feel guilty. We
Yes.
as women start to feel responsible. So it's not really like a gender bias. It's something, a bias that we put on ourselves because we try to play the super women all the time. We can do this and this and this and everything. So yes, so these have happened in my life before. But my child, my daughter, she's such an angel. I think all kids are. And then my daughter, she would say, Mama, I think you should go just because I'm not well. I don't think you should stop because you're doing something beautiful. So I think what I did was, and ever since she was a little kid, I took her in my journey of what I do and made her feel very important. And as she was more important than my work, I made her feel like that. And she sort of loved me for the work that I did, besides I being her mom. And
Yeah.
so, at any point of time ever in the family, if there was an incident like this, or if there was a discussion, and she said, Ma, I think you should go because this, you're representing the country, you're representing the people, blah, blah, blah. I take care. I'm a big girl, 10-year-old, a big girl. I can manage the home and myself and school. So, yes, I think, when you are out on a purpose, when you're purpose driven and you listen to your voice, I think the universe conspires to help you. And I was blessed with a child, I was blessed with a good husband, a good family to help to reach, uh, to do what I wanted to do, what I intended to do. When something which is greater than yourself,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
go, you do it. Then the greater good outside also helps you to achieve what you want to achieve, I guess. Yeah,
I think the effort has to come from within, and then things kind of, they fall in place. Yeah.
100%.
So tell me, Payal, if you were to look back on your life, do you think there's anybody who you could look up to as a mentor or somebody who, like inspired you to do what you're doing, or even otherwise?
Not one, there's so many. There are so many.
Okay.
Um, Starting with when I was a little child, my grandfather, I used to cry as a child, like ultra sensitive child, and, seeing a dog on the street and crying, a puppy. And why has God made a dog with his mummy's not with him? Why is the puppy, ultra sensitive? Why has God made poor and the rich like that differently? I had so many questions. And my granddad would always say that, you don't have to ask people why God has made somebody the way they are. You have to need to ask yourself, and all the answers are inside you, and they're all sitting. So whatever answers you want to, it's inside, and you with your God inside can do achieve whatever you want to change. So I guess, and my grandfather, I would say, was my first sort of role model
Mhm.
to put me in a direction of spirituality, of connecting me with my inner strength and self. I
Okay.
would say as the first one. And then, of course, I think my husband. My
Mm-hmm.
husband has been a great pillar of support and a big critic of what I do. I think I've done the best because everybody tells me I'm doing the best, but he would always tell me, no, I think you can do much better. I know you have the potential far more than what you're doing now. And he is such a stickler for organizing, planning, and he lived in Germany for many years, so he has got that angle. So he's a mentor for level of for raising the bar, in that level that you keep pushing your boundaries more and more, and you can do more. So he's been a mentor in that regard, I would say. And yeah, I think these two main men, and of course, I don't know, there's so many people, I can't even name one. Everybody has been a teacher of some sort or the other. In the D2C space, when we entered, I have no idea. Coming from a social development background, working with the communities, now to launch a brand, that to an online brand, requires you to know so much more about technology. What is CAC? How do you reduce the customer acquisition cost? How do you manage the ad spends? How do you look at, there are so many technical things about the creative, the brand, all of that. So they're a much younger, I think I learn from my teams all the time. They're all millennials in my team. So yeah, I learned from them even now. So one of them was my mentor, who literally put me on the path of teaching me one by one what everything meant. And so different spaces, different teachers, different mentors.
I think, we always need, because obviously we don't know everything ourselves. So we have to be open to the idea. And I think then people, of course, they are there and we just have to be open and be accepting of whatever they are telling us. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So tell me, Payal, if somebody wanted to, get into the space of making a social impact, can you share 3 quick tips on what is required to kind of make that impact?
I think the first is the resilience of the mission. You have to be really mission driven.
Yeah.
And with the mission comes a lot of perseverance because you believe so much in it.
Yeah.
And with that perseverance, there will be ups and downs like anything in life. So the resilience to be able to stand back again,
Yeah.
to be able to, because you so believe in it.
Yeah.
And a third would be, I think, the love and passion for society,
Yeah.
for society as well, because you're doing a social impact. So you have to live, love, life, love people, and yeah. So perseverance and resilience, the two main ones I would say, and love is love. Yeah, love
Yeah.
for community, love for people.
And I guess if you believe in what you're doing, then you
Mm,
kind of, just like put everything that you need. And of course, like resilience and all these things, they will come if you really love what you're doing, right?
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
So while, of course, like every other woman and even men for that matter, we have, these two sides to our lives, the personal and the professional. But, as far as a woman is concerned, it's sometimes difficult to kind of balance the two sides because society does have greater expectations out of women. So how do you balance these two sides of your life?
Oh boy, I think we are blessed to be born as women, I would say.
Uh-huh.
We have the ability to create life inside us,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Which men do not. And sometimes I feel they're envious. I see some of them envious also of this. So if we have such an ability, to create life inside
yeah.
and creating a life outside, I think to balance
Mm.
is absolutely possible if you believe in the power of the womanhood that you have within you. I mean, what I always talk about is X factor. We have double X, we have two chrome double X, we have that X factor.
Okay.
So we as women are born with an X factor, right? So it's easier for us to multitask. And if there are scientific studies also, I've seen some of the videos wherein it speaks about the way the wiring of the brain of the women and the men is done
Mhm.
differently. So the women can multitask at the same time, think of 10 things and do also the same 10 things, right? So yes, I wear both the hats. A lot of people know me just as Mrs. Nath, not as Payal.
Mhm.
And there are sometimes there are conferences wherein somebody who knows me as Mrs. Nath is listening to me as Payal Nath. And I will get a text that, are you by any chance related to Rajesh Nath? And I say, yes, that's the other hat I wear also. So, yes, in terms of till my child was small, till my in-laws were around, I think it was not easy to balance. Of course, it was not easy, but I chose to slow down slightly.
Mhm.
And because I knew, I mean, it's possible. We have the ability. It's the choices that you make, right? So
Yeah.
for me, the family was extremely important as much as my work. So I balanced between the two. I did not run in either one direction fully and one direction fully. I
Mhm.
balanced it. I know we could have launched the brand about 15 years ago as well when we launched the NGO, maybe. But we decided, and no regrets at all. I think the kind of time that I gave to my family and the way that I love that I got back,
Yeah.
it pays off so much more when I'm putting all my energy into the work.
See, they always say that, a woman should not only focus on growing vertically, which men can do
Mm,
because, they don't have the other responsibilities. We have to grow, laterally also because we have to take care of so much. So I think in that sense, we build a very strong foundation for ourselves. And so when we decide to do so many things, we're growing in different ways. It's not just
absolutely,
as a,
yeah.
professional or just in the personal capacity.
But
Okay.
Sangeeta, the things have changed a little bit because I see the younger generation, and my brother's much younger to me, but I see him as an amazing, doting father. When his wife goes to work, he works from home because he loves to take the responsibility of the children. So things
Wow.
are changing in terms of the societal norms are changing.
Yeah,
It's a choice now between the two who wants to take on which one better,
I
who can do which one better.
I
Yeah.
agree. Things are changing.
Yeah.
So, disappointments, setbacks, I think, they're a part and parcel of everyone's life. So, how do you stay motivated or resilient when you face any such disappointment, be it personal or professional?
When you believe in something so strong, even these disappointments don't allow you to get down because I think because of the belief, and when others around you believe in you more than you sometimes not believe it. Sometimes, डगमगा जाता है कई बार. Yes, you're
Yeah.
right. Sometimes
Mm.
it's normal that where the finance is going to come, then this is the problem, and this and that or whatever. Every time it's a different issue that might hit you. But if you believe in your cause and the others around you believe in you, so they'll push you up. Sometimes you push them up, sometimes they push you up. But the
Yeah.
cause is the North Star, right? And so that North Star is so big that you have like a family. By a family, I don't mean just like blood related or your family, but
Yeah.
I mean like a family of people who believe in that. And because of that, they believe in you.
Yeah.
This just push you back up, it's happened when sometimes I would say I'm such a senior managing director's wife, and why should I be going in, passenger buses, trains, and going to the village and staying in a small whatever, and no bathrooms, going to the fields or whatever. Why should I spend my life like that when I can enjoy the luxuries? And my husband would tell me, you go sleep over it in the morning. You'll
Yeah.
be you'll be back. So yes, sir. One call coming from one village or from one office, somebody calls you and you'll be back. So it's okay.
Yeah.
Sleep over. So I
Okay.
guess yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. This energy will not allow you to get discharged, stay discharged forever. It
Yeah.
will charge you. This energy will definitely charge you back.
Yeah, you're so right. Believing in what you're doing, and the support of people around you. That is so important.
Yeah.
Because yes, we can be down and out, for any number of reasons. But if you have
Yeah.
these people to support you and to kind of, just pull you up, obviously, you will kind of get there.
Hmm.
All right. So you have a young daughter. And so the next question is, addressed to girls of, in that age group, that what kind of advice would you like to give to girls who are on the threshold of their personal and professional lives, in particular, those who are maybe 18, 19, or in that, 20-year-olds who are still trying to figure things out? What would you like to advise them?
I think they should experiment. When there's this, I heard from somebody that your 20s is the life to experiment,
Okay.
30s is to settle, and 40s is to save, and 50s is to back and enjoy again and do what you want. So
Okay.
20s is to experiment. So I think if these girls have not yet experimented or don't know who they are, they still have to discover.
Mm.
Just go all out and discover yourself. I mean, I'll tell you, like, for example, at that point of time, I did zillions of things. I worked in the IT sector, by the way,
Oh,
in
okay.
19,
Okay.
early. Yes, I studied physics, and after that, I did data management 2 years, and then I worked there in that space.
Hmm.
I was coding, and at that time, we were working with Unix, C++, and all that
Oh,
way
oh,
back.
okay. Okay. All right.
And no, it was not for me. Then I did shoes. I enjoyed shoes for some time, but then you were working in a very small space, so
Hmm.
it was okay, not for me. Then I
Hmm.
worked in the crafts, like I said, as a designer, and then it was not for me. As a consultant, it was not for me. So there's so many different things you just keep, but everything that you experiment your life with, you learn something new about yourself,
Absolutely.
and then you accumulate it, and then sort of take a call. And I mean, one doesn't have to. You started off on a journey, and this is what it is. You don't know yourself, right? You're still
Yeah.
discovering. Sometimes you don't even know the kind of for example, even now I'm discovering myself even to this age.
Yes.
There are so many things that I didn't do then that I'm
Hmm.
discovering. So 20s, I would say, just go all out and discover yourself, experiment with life and uh, things around you.
Okay. And where would you put financial independence in all of this?
Oh, I think that is one thing that India as a country, I think somehow, I don't know why we miss it. We do not teach our children this financial literacy at all. Bachpan se, these kids are said, "Tumhare paas bahut hai, you don't have to worry. Didi will bring you the pani, Didi will do this, whatever, you focus on your studies." So it's education and all of that. And then the society is made in a certain way somehow. Financial education is never addressed upon, and women, and particularly,
Yeah.
are most. You'll see a lot of them are not so good with numbers
Yeah.
somehow, because they, more with emotions, more with other things. Of course, with science they would be good, but not so good with numbers.
Hmm.
But that is something which has to change. That has to change, and I see this because I saw my daughter when she went abroad,
Hmm.
and she immediately said, she at the age of 22, she was investing. She was already working at the age of 22 in New York,
Hmm.
and she's already investing in stocks.
Hmm.
And it was so heartwarming to see this new generation being careful about the money, how much they spend, how much they should be spending, and
Yeah.
how much they should be saving, and not to be. And it was always that she would say, you earned, you worked hard, and it's your money, and I don't have a right over that money. You can do what you want with it, but
Yeah.
I need to learn also, and I need to save also. I need to lead a life, a good life as well.
Yeah.
So, this literacy and the awareness to how to manage this money first, that you to know this money, then how to manage this money, extremely important, extremely. And in the villages, I noticed that also.
Hmm.
When you ask these women, like my last visit to UP, the Hardoi cluster where we work with HCL. So these women, I asked them at meeting them after 2 years. He Hindi, I said, and in Hindi I said, क्या फर्क आया आपकी lives में? You've been working with us for 2 years now. What difference has it made in your life? So they said, ये सोने का लिया, ये jewelry लिया, बच्चों के लिए खिलौना खरीदा. Now we don't have to go to our husbands to ask for all these things. And I said, okay, that's okay. But beyond this, material things, anything else that you felt changed? They said, भावनाओं में फर्क आ गया, madam.
Hmm. Hmm.
Where we think has
Yes.
changed. That means there's a lot of content there. So yes, financial literacy is extremely important, I think, across, for
Yeah.
and women, richest of rich women I've seen, financially they would be still dependent.
Yeah.
Even if they're earning, they'll be still dependent on the scare of numbers.
Yeah. 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 So I think it has to start from childhood, where I think
Yes.
the kind of exposure and the kind of education we give them, maybe like they say, the kind of toys you give to girls and boys, why give girls only dolls and not something like maybe an airplane or something, like something to do with mechanics or something. So, I think start from the very beginning, this has to start. And then it'll be like the way it is for boys. All right.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
So, Payal, we've of course seen that when it comes to, the biases and challenges that women have to face, we've come a long way. If we were to go back 20, 30, 40 years, we've traveled along and, we've kind of come a long way. But what do you think are still some of the biases which women continue to face despite this empowerment and despite this enlightenment?
Very basic. So many times I see driving on the road, if there's a car which is slow in front, there will be somebody in the car, some man, oh, surely a woman is driving, that's why it's slow. The car is slow. They're being extra cautious, blah, blah, all of that.
Yeah.
So indirectly, they're sort of ingrained. These
Yeah.
kind of, it's going to take some time for the biases. I was a part of this, we work with UNESCO as well on projects. So I was being interviewed by the UNESCO director, Indian director, Tim Curtis, and he told me, and I got to know in the interview like this, one of the interviews, that it'll take 300 years for the disparity between men and women to equalize. Yeah.
Yes, and
So
you're
that's
right.
the international UN levels, yes. So it's huge. It's
It
huge.
is huge. It's a part of our DNA. And of course, we are making that effort. And the best thing is at least we are aware and we're working in that direction. But I also believe, we have miles to go. But fine, at least we've started on that journey. So, continuing in that vein, what do you think these kind of conversations or these kind of platforms where women come and talk about what they're doing or about the challenges that they face, how do you think they can help, make women or make this disparity disappear or at least, reduce as compared to what it is right now?
Yeah, I think when there are more people whom they can look up to because somebody who's walked that path and still managed to make it on the other side, then there's a kind of a hope. Yes, there is a possibility. Yes, we can do it. Sometimes learn from everybody's path is different.
Yeah.
But if you can show different kinds of paths to different kinds of people, of
Mm.
course I think it raises a hope in them and raises this camaraderie ship that is there are more people who are with us who've gone through this
Yeah.
all of that. Yeah, I think it certainly helps. Yeah.
So that can,
I wish I had people, when I was doing this, there was nobody to see, what to and how to walk this path in the in the community space where we work in basketry. For example, grass. We work with grass. Now in Kadam Haat, the grasses, when we started in India, there was nobody who was working in various grasses and creating the kind of solutions that we are creating. So yes, it becomes a harder to when there is nobody to look up to, so the journey takes longer. I guess now if somebody could see this, see what works, what doesn't from somebody's experience, it may not take them 15 years, it may take them just much lesser time. No.
so yeah, you do need role models, somebody you can look up to. And, maybe your journey will not be obviously entirely the same, but it could be similar and you could learn, you could take a page out of their book and learn things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Payal, there is a lot of awareness, nowadays about mental health. People are talking a lot about it, and I think especially after COVID. But do you think here also women's mental health issues are not addressed as much as men's, or you don't think there is any difference between the two?
Um, I think somehow I feel that the women normally manage it better.
Okay, okay.
It's not that they don't go through it; they go through it even more, I would say,
Yeah,
because of balancing act all the time, because of a lot of the societal
yeah,
pressures, all of that. But I think somehow like their design, I think God has designed our bodies and minds in such a way that we can handle pressures far more, far better.
yeah.
So yeah, so because we can handle them does not mean that we don't get them,
Yes.
and that's the reason why they get neglected sometimes,
Hmm.
because we don't show it. We just
Yeah.
learn to manage it ourselves as much as we can. Yeah.
And I think somewhere we also kind of normalize it because we've seen other women, we see other women going through similar things. So we feel that, okay, it's fine. She's doing it. My mom's done it. My aunt's done it. My sister's doing it. So maybe this is the way to be. And I think somewhere like we need to ourselves realize that some of the things that we are going through are not normal. We need help, and or if not help in that sense, at least we need somebody to talk to, somebody who can make us understand. Yeah.
100%. So there's a story, if you heard about this story, about this little girl who goes to her mother, Mama, why do you make chicken in a small, in a pot,
Huh.
in a pot in such tiny pieces? And so she said, yeah, because this is the recipe, and this my mom used to make like that. So she goes to her nanny and asks, and why do you put it? Because my mom used to make. She goes to her great grandmother and she asks, and she says, because my pot had a very small mouth, so I had to cut it into small pieces and put it. So there was a scientific reason, but till you question and
Yes.
question and question, you don't get to reasoning and understanding. So first is to figure out, yes, there exists something which I'm not okay with,
Yeah.
and the second is, then if you're not okay, to find out the reason, and then it's solved. No, then it's solved and it's okay. Then oh, there was a logical reason. It's not because that's the recipe. There's a logical reason for doing what she did or what she does. Yeah.
While there is this phenomena that I have observed around me, and I'm also kind of guilty of doing something like that, and I'm sure you've also seen it, that a lot of people in their, early 40s, mid 40s, or early 50s, also for that matter, have now started, moving away from what they'd been doing professionally all these years and trying out, diametrically opposite things, like an engineer wanting to get into writing or painting or sports and things like that, which the earlier generation I don't think never did. I mean, I'm not saying that they didn't have aspirations or dreams, but somehow they pretty much stuck to the narrative and did what they started out by doing in their lives. So I term this as midlife rebooting. So what do you have to say about it?
I don't know. I mean, I think one can reboot anytime if you feel like, if you're not happy with something that you do. It
Mm,
doesn't have to be, yes, earlier in life you have responsibilities probably, and you are sort of so caught up in living. It's like, living and living up to the expectations of the family, and living up to your own expectations of the responsibilities that you have, that you don't think of the reboot, pressing the reboot button in the
mm,
middle, until you reach a phase when you are empty nesters, or and so I guess it's the reason why it starts to show off, probably is because they've just burnt themselves doing what they did, which was required to be done, and
mm.
now, maybe if not now, then when? And so it's fine and it's fair, and why not? And I think it's absolutely good. Earlier, they rebooted in a very different way. I've seen, and my grandparents have seen, like when they say that there are four ashrams, and so
Oh,
they would go into, the sannyas towards
yeah.
the end, which would be reading religious books and going. So they would reboot, but in a very different way, right? Which
Yeah.
the way the society created norms for them to do. And now, because there are opportunities, there are so many things to do, and they probably did not enjoy doing what they were doing,
Yeah.
or they had a burnout. It's fine to leave at any point of time. It's good.
I think it is too, because I think life is all about, growing and evolving and learning. So if you
Yeah.
didn't like something, because, a lot of times I think we make choices in life because of some societal pressure, that this is what is to be done. And I think many young people, they end up with careers which they don't like. But now I think we are more flexible and more accepting of these kind of things. And, people are trying out. So I also think this is a very, very positive development in that sense. All right.
Yes.
So, of course, you're going great guns with your brand, and I can see it all over. And I just love, and I follow you, on your social media. So I very much abreast with what
Yes.
is happening. So as far as your professional life is concerned, and even your personal one for that matter, what do you see yourself doing maybe 5 years or 10 years from now?
Of course, Kadam Haat has to become a global brand. That's the aspiration that I have for the brand.
Wonderful.
And more for the sake of the conscious consumer. There's a hunger, there's a demand for conscious,
Yeah.
by the conscious consumers. It's not that they don't exist. But I also feel that it should be affordable. Our brand is trying to make conscious consumption affordable, easily accessible, and very convenient to use.
Mhm.
So I want this for it to be consumed by this kind of conscious consumerism, which Kadam Haat can have an option, where people can have an option in Kadam Haat to do that. And in the 10 years, maybe in different countries, I see our brand, as a global Indian brand.
Mhm.
When I started, I named it, the company is called Kadam Haat Basketry Barn. If you see Pottery Barn, what Pottery Barn is to the US, my dream was that Basketry Barn should be to India and it should go
Wonderful.
global. So that's the dream, that's the aspiration, and then I do retire in 10 years from the brand. And
Mm.
I want to celebrate with my husband and travel the world. Um, just those little nooks and corners which probably I haven't seen, and I'd
Yeah.
like to see. Yeah, I
All
think
right.
it's more of a personal thing. Yeah,
So
uh,
all the best to you
and,
and
and
more
and
power
and
to you.
I'm 53 now.
Yeah.
53 now. So yes. Yeah, so it's
So
about
yeah,
60
definitely.
is 65.
Mm.
Yeah. And also me and my husband, we both are quite inspired by biomimicry design, if you heard this, biomimicry design, which
Okay.
is a field of design wherein there are solutions for humankind which are in living in nature, which are in nature. So that's why you mimic the you mimic the nature to find solutions. And this is a movement wherein biologists, technologists, and product designers, they all work together. My husband's a technologist. I
Oh,
am a product designer. So together, when I say we want to travel the world, we want to travel to various corners looking for some solutions and do study basically biomimicry design together
oh,
while
all right.
we explore the world. So yeah. So
That's
yeah,
interesting.
some yes, 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 for sure. We are as excited about our work as we are excited about the retirement study plan.
Great, great. So all the best to you. And like I said, more
Thank
power to
you.
you. And of course, I would love to see
Thank
your
you very
brand
much.
like this analogy between Pottery Barn and your brand. I think yes, it will happen. So now finally we come to the rapid fire round. 5 quick questions, 5 quick answers. Yeah.
Okay.
So the first one. What is your favorite way to unwind after a long day?
Music.
Okay. All right. Okay. And then, if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
If I had a magic wand, I would bring heaven on earth.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. All right. Okay. The next one. Favorite book or podcast?
Favorite book or podcast? I love the podcasts where you study about the challenges family businesses or other businesses and how they've grown and how they've managed it. So yeah, it's a challenge like
Yeah.
related to challenges and managing challenges. Yes, I love listening to those podcasts. Yeah.
All right. So the next one. What is one piece of technology that you can't live without?
Oh, I think you need technology for everything now.
Is there
Yeah,
something
I mean,
that
I
you
think
need all the time?
I need WhatsApp all the time. I
All right.
think I think I do my business through WhatsApp with all my teams and everything. Yeah, it's very basic, but yes, it's required
It is required.
for
All
me.
right.
Mm.
So finally, what does your perfect weekend look like?
Me and my husband cooking together
Oh,
and drinking wine together and watching a movie together. That's a
lovely.
perfect
Lovely.
weekend
Love.
for me.
All right.
Mm.
So, Payal, it was really wonderful talking to you. And like you said, these kind of conversations, they can make a difference because, you could be a role model, you could be a source of inspiration for someone you just don't know. So it could be a drop in the ocean, but like we know, every drop counts. So thank you so much for being on the show. And well, yes.
Thank you for having me. It was lovely, lovely talking to you, Sangeeta, and all the very best to you and more power to your podcast as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.